So you mentioned earlier that if you just figure out the US system and things like is it 401k?
Yeah, 401k,
right? Yep. And I was curious, like it's more like a not-for-profit kind of stuff, or what is it?
Oh no, just like so when you get your paycheck, it goes into the investment. So there's the investment, the investment savings account
for retirement.
For retirement
savings.
Nice. Yeah, because that's very important, because most guys will get maybe grants through education, and they'll spend it, to have some good time. But by the time you're completing your master's or your undergrad, you're back to square zero. You're like asking yourself, should I go to like AT&T or go to Morgan Stanley and start all over again? So I think that's very, very important.
Yeah, that's what the financial literacy piece. I think we're seeing that much more now, coming to multiple different media channels. It's like understanding your finances and what are your options.
Yeah. And you guys actually, when you mentioned you worked at AT&T Labs, there are a lot of innovations that have come there that have changed the way we communicate, the way we do stuff. You guys, you wanna talk about that for someone who has never even dreamed of going there?
That's great that you brought that up, because obviously when you're in the mix there, it
doesn't.
You're not thinking about that when other people are thinking. But no, the R&D, like I said, I was Asia capacity manager for like 6 to 7 years. So I was, when Formula One would come in, and making sure like these new VPNs and things are coming down the pipeline. Obviously, the 5G, the concepts of that, I think the 5G is really going to spearhead everything that we're seeing in Web3, and the concept of Web3 and moving away from a Web2. But from the data connectivity, the fiber optic links, it's really transcending. I think it comes down to us as these entrepreneurs, like how do we use this technology to build, and create new. But the AT&T is like, it's a network telecom, but it's like, it is transcending. There's a lot of research stuff.
So are you saying that the reason why they have been able to innovate good stuff that are actually scale across the world is investment into R&D, right?
I can say that. I can say that. And as well, just I think even from our startup, it's just the talent that you bring across the board. You're giving constant talent, constant youth, and constant ideas. It's all about the ideation. I think that's what we're seeing even when we talk to venture capitalists and venture studios is the ideas are different. Not this carbon copy and paste. Like who is truly innovative. Right. And when you bring in and attract that talent, you're always now gonna have these different type of success.
And also like being a network operator, right? This on a global scale. Like just think of what company gets access to my information the most.
Every day.
It's a network operator, right? Because every other thing is gonna be built on that. So there are certain things they know about you. They know where do you frequent, right? They know what restaurants do you go to. They know when do you go to sleep? When are the times when you're active, right? They know who you talk to. They know your network. They actually know your network way better than you, right? So I think so. First, they have access to information that can give them accurate information about the customers, right? And I think that's been one of their biggest advantage as opposed to another business that you're doing something innovative, but you don't necessarily have access ready-made, historical, large amount of historical data, right, you can use on your customer base. So I think that's what helps them with the research standpoint, because like when they create all these theses and they talk about all these innovative things, they can bounce it against the trends that they've seen, and they can say, yes, this is going to take off because this has, almost same experience as some other product in the past, right? And this is the trajectory he had, right? So I think one of the biggest things at AT&T was the data, right? The data is going to tell you the story. They're a very data-driven organization. And I would say actually working at AT&T, at Georgia Tech, I was modeled to survive. Right. So I learned about, funny enough, one of the biggest skill sets I learned at Georgia Tech was communications. Because you come in the first day, you think you just left high school, you were number 3. You take the first test, you're number 50.
You're like,
So you're gonna talk to somebody, right?
like what's
You're
happening around?
You're gonna start talking to somebody, and guess what? You're gonna learn rapidly.
Yeah.
I don't just want to talk to him twice. I want to keep talking to him. So he has to be my friend.
Yeah.
And then it's transactional. So like, what am I giving him? What is he giving me? Right? So maybe it's like, oh, we play soccer, and then like we talk about like homework and stuff. So I think that's one of the undercover biggest value, right? That is a tech. But at AT&T, I think what I learned at AT&T is how to be able to make I would say insightful decision making. Right, that's something that happens at AT&T quite good that I experience. It all starts off from like, what is the data saying? Right, what is the trend saying? Right, we're not fixing issues that don't exist. We're fixing issues that exist. Right, and then we're solving them with solutions, right, that we've seen have proven to resolve the issue, right? So it's very hard to get out. Like, even though we're in a creative space, it's very hard for you to just exist there. So you have to be in a creative space, and then you have to snap back into a business space, because whatever proposal you're given, we need to see the input and output of it.
Sure.
And it's going to go back to the same data, right? So if the output turns out not to be what you had predicted, is going to reflect in the data, right? Customers' usage or their reaction towards it is going to show that.
Yeah. And does government invest a lot in AT&T labs?
I do not know that. But I won't be surprised if they do, right? But just like every other, I worked also at 7-Eleven labs, and they're actually quite advanced as well. I know everybody thinks of 7-Eleven like just a gas station where you go by, but I think they're building some quite interesting things there, from like the store of the future. You walk into a store, and the store basically knows you and stuff like that. So I think a lot of Fortune 500 major companies like, they now understand we need to be technology. When it comes to technology, right, we need to be in the future.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But when it comes to like the retail aspects, we need to solve the problems that exist today. Obviously, those problems are going to form, and our hopes are whatever we're building in the future is going to be ready to just like push down and as soon as the problems evolve.
Nice.
And funny enough,
Yeah.
I think that's also part of the reason why we're structured the way we are at Canza Finance. I think our experience at AT&T, right, because they were always forward thinking, very, I would say like research heavy. And that just got us to, myself with a research background, himself with a research background, both working for a company that consumes a lot of like research material. We just carried that on into our companies. As we have active products we're working on, and then we have like really cool products that we're actually working on the background that they may not be an immediate market for, but certainly there's a problem that can resolve.
That's very good that you mentioned that, because my next question was around the products, because I can see a couple of products here. There's Jara Network, Jollof.fi. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but there's Cancer DApps, there's Cancer CTM, there's Cancer IPFS. Please dive in. As much as some of them are not ready or live, I would love to hear about them.
I think, and just to create the right bridge, I really want to, for the entrepreneurs and the developers that are building, it's like data is the new oil, right? So when you
Actually, it's the current oil.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
10 years ago, it was the new oil.
Yeah, that is true.
Right
I
now,
like
it's the
that.
current
Actually, I
oil.
like that a lot.
Right.
Recently, Nigeria's GDPs, the revenue from tech has overtaken the revenue from oil.
That's it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I think that's how I would like developers and entrepreneurs should really think, because where's the people? Population's here. Right. And I think if you really start making data-driven decisions, then you're really going to be in a good position. But with the multiple different, like it's R&D and innovation under the product suite. The Jollof-fi is decentralized finance with fixed yield interest rate, and then synthetic African FX swap. So creating, South African rand, Nigerian naira, CFA in a digital and blockchain concept, like wrap tool, like a token type of space. So that's something really creative, and we've got some interesting concepts there. The IPFS is interplanetary file system. So that is like Filecoin, and that's really our bridge into Web3. So pertaining building products around that data, understanding, storage providing, competing against AWS and Microsoft Azure. Right. In a Web3 format, you can create financial primitives around file storage. So instead of, we're looking at Web2, this is Amazon AWS, this is Microsoft Azure. You're paying maybe 99 cents per terabyte to host. In a Web3 format, in a peer-to-peer, you're still storing your same type of scenario, but you're storing your data in these different nodes. It could be 0.003 cents in that type of range. So understanding that, and maybe now, you got the you got the Nollywood industry, you got all this video and content being hosted. We need to find different scenarios that, number one, I think from the African continent, cost effective. But then it's easy to retrieve. So that's the Web3 aspect part with the internet, and the dApps is really around the agent banking that we mentioned earlier, building tools around that. And non-profits, distribution, loans to rural areas. That's where the dApps goes. And then we have the DAO aspect, which is the OTC, bringing TradFi or traditional finance, exotic type of products, and giving, like I said, that access. So now you have $10 million client or $50 million escrow, and now you can I have the same options, like I said earlier, the same type of things I've seen on Wall Street. But now I have that exposure in the digital asset ecosystem. So revolving around that, traditional finance, decentralized finance, and data and Web3, that's where all the products sit within that ecosystem.
I think the only other product I mentioned was the CTM. These are basically like crypto ATMs. And that's actually what brought us to Kenya. And we kind of did a lot of studies and figured Kenya would be a good market to start this type of business with. And we're very big about being across the continent, right? So we thought of what can we have as a solution that doesn't require so much of our resources up front, right? And we just thought having an ATM, but we don't just want it to be your typical crypto ATM you walk up to and purchase BTC, right, or USDT. We actually want to take it steps further and bring a lot of the DeFi solutions, right, the staking models, the borrowing models, the yield earning models directly to the average person, right, in Kenya. So that's just one of the other products, and the purpose we're here actually in Kenya.
That actually makes a lot of sense, and there's Ilarian. And because you guys talked about data, we believe that with the GDPR, IPA, all those actually coming to say that, these customers' data, beyond, research and all this, the customers, the ownership of the data.
That's the Web3.
I don't know if you are conversant with how even Web3 can actually help ensure that as much as you earn from the customer's data, either through research or even selling that data directly, customer also is getting, or the user is getting part of that earning.
Exactly.
You guys are implementing that?
Those are the type of concepts, because you own the data. Right. So if it's I can do hypothetical scenarios, but if you're a farmer, etc., and the different market dynamics of your crops, now you can create these different primitives or models around to access. Now I'm getting paid as well, and then we're doing a revenue sharing model. So those are the different concepts that we have in our R&D type of innovation pipeline of building. But those
I think
owning the data and then selling that is in our models.
That's a major reason why we're also involved in the IPFS space, because we want to, as a staple, we want to be completely Web3, right? And we know that that's going to come over time. So we need to essentially grow within the product space and solution space of IPFS so that we can start integrating those already. Like we can start creating that ecosystem of full Web3
Yeah.
where all the data is stored on IPFS and not on Web2 interfaces.
Yeah. Nice. So when you get time, just check out Ilerian.com.
Okay.
We believe that developers should build responsibly. So
Perfect.
so this actually that can leapfrog you from maybe the ideas that you have to implementing them in real time, because the framework itself is designed around that.
Yes.
To ensure that you actually just build the solution, not think about how this data is moving from X to Y.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's amazing, and I see you have amazing partners here. You want to talk about that?
And also
At
fundraising.
Canza, yes. Yes,
Yes.
they're gonna give us some tips on getting the funds home.
And their nightmares.
Of course, the story is always on one-sided, but
Yeah. I'll say we have a very an African startup in the Web3 space, as old as we are. I would say probably about 2-3 years. We have a very I would say a heavy set of investors. And I think it wasn't coincidental, right? Because a lot of people actually do not know that Deji and I went through 4 accelerator programs.
Okay.
Right. So but they all had their different flavors and they were in different times, the pre-seed and the seed.
Yes.
But
and this was not concurrent.
they were not concurrent, right? In different phases, right? And different companies too, right? So we had been molded over time, right? If you go through 4 accelerator programs, there's certain things that would stick.
How
in
long
your
did
head.
that take?
I would say within the span of 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, within the span of 2.5 years, we went through 4 accelerator programs, which is wow. But
Sprint.
I think it goes back to the 10,000 hours type of thing.
For sure.
You need to deploy that, and then when you look into that fundraising and the partners, is that number one, I think you have to never give up, and then you have to be the best that you could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when you're doing the things right and you're doing it authentically, you're going to that energy is going to transcend. I think a tip that I give towards African entrepreneurs and fundraising is that you got to, if you're really when you're doing VC models and you're doing investing and all these type of concepts, a lot of the people to get into these programs, they ask us, are you full-time or you part-time?
Okay.
Right? Are you still working at AT&T? Are you still doing engineering?
Yeah.
Or are you doing this full-time? Okay. And that's not to be but it's to understand how dedicated are you towards this mission.
Yeah.
Before
If
they
you're not
commit
full
their
time,
check.
then why would I invest and give you $250,000?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're gonna
When
do
things get
everything
tough,
you can. Exactly.
you
You're gonna
have
do everything
options.
you can to exactly. So I think that's the major thing is really be dedicated, and that's why we kept going through, because we're network engineering fundamentally.
Yes.
But then you have to understand fundraising, understand finances, you got to understand the SAFs.
Yeah.
Now with Web3 and you got tokens, you got safes, all these different things. And then you have to do the marketing and the networking. So you have all these different things you have to learn, and it makes it difficult. But as long as you're true to the mission and you have the vision, then it's gonna happen. I'm a true believer of that.
Are there any specific things that stuck out from each of these accelerators? I mean, I'm assuming they are boutique. You go if you're going to a restaurant, you go to Java for the coffee.
Yeah.
You go to McDonald's for the
Yeah.
I think
How do you look at this? How would you place all those 4 experiences?
I don't want to do a cheesy plug-in or anything, but the thing is, the thing is that when it comes towards the African localization of infrastructure, like I said,
Yes.
that's how we found Africa's talking.
Okay.
So one of our MVP and betas was just built onto the USSD APIs, right? So you have USSD, you have SMS, and you have all these different things connected to the sandbox.
Yes.
Connecting to the sandbox can give you basically how you vision of how you want to do that product.
Yes.
So now at least you have something visually. It has code. It shows you your technical acronym. It shows you can build.
Okay.
And then it's very simple, right? The documentation is there. You have the Slacks. You have so do those programs. The major thing is to have traction.
Okay.
Have a product, make traction. So you want to collect traction in Africa, USSD. Just click 1, click 2, click 2. Now I can get your name. I can get your number. I can do X, Y, Z. So I think having traction, having a product, those are the major things.
Yes.
But you really, and then obviously there's all these other technical things, but those are I say those are the basics.
Okay.
Product and traction.
Yeah, and let's just say, like, even if you do not have the traction or you do not have the product, right? This is part of what I learned going through those accelerator programs is the storytelling. Right.
You gotta have the
A lot of
You
startups
need to
struggle there.
Yeah, you need to, but this is the thing, right? Especially when it comes to like the African narrative, right?
Okay.
We actually have an advantage from the story standpoint because your audience, right, is learning. Your audience they don't have in-depth knowledge about the society you're solving a problem for,
Yes, true.
right? So
just
that's,
tell them,
that's
find
to
a way
your
of
advantage.
expressing your how it is.
That's to your advantage, right? So you're walking into a conversation where you are in a bigger
You're the master
position
of
of
your
power.
story.
You're a master of your narrative,
Yes.
right? And you need to be able to deliver that well, and that's what they're looking for, right?
Nice.
They're looking. It's just like watching a movie. You want to start in with that introduction, a climax, and then and then something,
ending.
right? They're looking for that, right? So get really well in the storytelling, right? And the storytelling enough, right, could potentially outweigh the traction and the product,
That's a very important.
right? So,
But this speaks to some of the foreigners who have come here and built a startup because they have the funding, but they don't understand the in-depth of the solution that they're providing to the people.
The terrain of the
and
land.
they just close within a year with all the millions of dollars that they have. Because at the end of the day, they cannot relate to the in-depth of what
That's why I
people
keep
need.
saying that localization of infrastructure.
Yes.
And that you really got to switch your hat on. Which when you come into Africa, be open-minded. You can bring the different, solutions, right?
Yes.
But don't be closed-minded. Okay, this is how it works over here.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
is how it works over here.
Yes.
So build around the stuff. So you combine the both. So there's a reason why African diaspora. There's two words to it. African diaspora. There's two. So you're part of here, but then you're also a part of here.
Yeah.
So now, like, it's a new paradigm. So bring those things that you've learned. I think everybody has a majority of friends you went to over school over here. Every time you link back with that friend, they have different ideas. So that being exposed is also now you play that as an advantage.
Yeah.
And I think that's something strong that there's always value in that.
Amazing stuff.
And then it's important. I think Deji mentioned something that needs to be like really emphasized on, like the fundraising experience for an African startup or founder. Today is a lot more better than before, right?
Yeah.
I think even in our own experience, it was still good, right, compared to a lot of the other companies. Because I think with the Flutter
ecosystem
Waves
has
of
grown.
the world,
Yeah.
all these major companies, there's now an attention and there's actually a transition, right, of investments a lot more towards the continent, which is really good, right?
Yes.
But it does not mean that the process is easy, right? The process is not
You have
easy.
to put in work.
You need to, I think Deji mentioned something that is key.
Yeah.
And that has been pretty much our secret weapon
Okay.
is you never give up. Nothing, and you never give up and
Resilience.
nothing is lost. So you speak to a VC, you get to know about them, they get to know about you, they do their due diligence and things don't pan out well.
Yes.
Don't just disappear.
Yeah.
Put them in your newsletter.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Give them an even if they say, hey, this project is just crap, we're not going to
Yes.
invest.
Yes.
Still keep that engagement,
engagement,
right?
yeah.
Because there's a big element of like human relationships, right? That could also create a different avenue for you with that VC. So keep them
Money
engaged.
follows relationships.
Exactly. Like then you may get introductions to other people that would fit, or you may get a second review with a second pair of eyes, right?
Yes.
So you never give up and everything is a win, right?
Yeah.
If you have that mindset that like everything is a win,
Yeah.
you're eventually going to get where you want to get to, even if all odds are like against you, right?
Yeah.
Which was something we did with our investors. I think it only took us pretty much building the right relationship with one investor that opened up the doors to the others,
Yeah.
right? And it took a while, right? It took almost like half a year or more of like just proving yourself, communication. At some point, there'll be a disconnection.
Okay.
If you're like, oh my God, we lost them,
These two
I guess no more. No, especially Deji is really good at that. Like he just bounces back and it's like, hey, we got to engage them.
Yeah.
We got to
Yes.
find some way to, keep the communication going. So it's like always be just everything is a win. Even when you have like a downtime, it's just time to learn, right? You learn fast, get back into it, and the capital is already coming, right? The capital is already coming, it's being allocated. Just don't give up and sell your story really well.
The African currencies have been hammered over the last couple of months. How do you guys see that as probably a good thing for your business so far? I don't know. How do you guys see this?
Yeah,
Especially operating from the crypto space, operating with the agency network.
No, that's you, man. You hit it on the head because that's actually why we're going to New York for this CoinDesk presentation coming up. So that tool within July, we have a product to literally address exactly what you said.
Okay.
The valuation of currencies, we build smart contracts, and that helps assist with getting the dollars at a certain rate with different price oracles. So you can use.
So you're building a solution to cushion economies
it's about to go
in
into,
Africa.
It's about to go into testnet. I think.
That's amazing.
Listen, you have to say it right, bro.
Yeah. I don't want to get too much of the sauce. Too much of the sauce.
I would say the best way we'll put that is we're building a tool to assist, right, especially like the business climate of sourcing access to FX.
Yes.
Right. We're not gonna solve like a whole country's
Yes.
issues,
Yes.
but we could be a
We'll have
terminal,
businesses.
right, within the whole ecosystem that could facilitate transactions, right? And I think
At a set
Yeah.
fixed rate.
Yes.
That's,
Yeah.
You're not worried about. You're basically hedging.
So
You're
that's-
helping
so that's-
African businesses to hedge.
Yeah, that's what we
using
call.
crypto.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what we call
Because-
the Baki product.
Yeah.
That July
Guys, this is
suite.
crazy, you know. I don't know if are we on the same planet here?
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean we're still very
Because that's a big problem.
Yeah, so that's why.
import based economy. A lot of
Exactly.
economies are import based, so FX is not going anywhere, right? Yeah,
That's why that's why we use the blockchain to help solve these problems.
Yes.
But we know that the devaluation. That's even why Canza in our original pitch decks, the Naira is devaluating. It's going like this.
Yes.
So it's that how do we use the blockchain to solve different issues? And that's why we're going to the Web3 aspect, because we know finance is just one application.
Yes.
That's why the data, and we can get into healthcare, all these other things, and all these industries are all going to be on chain somehow, because we want transparency. The people want to understand what's going on or how things flow. So that's the space that we're moving in. But yeah, that's literally the answer to that is Baki. And that's what we're going to go to CoinDesk to talk about. So.